Hollywood. You hear that name and what do you think of? Probably the giant sign outside of Hollywood. You think of the red carpet, the prestige, the fame, maybe even hit Miley Cyrus' song, which is, if you pay close attention to the lyrics, quite literally about her arriving in Hollywood as a teenager. Miley Cyrus got her big break as Hannah Montana at the ripe age of 13. A lot of artists who are now big in the pop industry got their start on Disney, or Nickelodeon, or other various networks of child programming. Demi Lovato, Selena Gomez, Ariana Grande, just to name a few. That is one of the many paths that child acting can lead you to, especially if you start in a musical, like, say, Hannah Montana. You already have the talent, you just need your name to be in the lights. And making it big as a child actor is surely a fast way to do that. It's one of the good outcomes, one of the best case scenarios, if that's the path you feel destined to take. But child acting also comes with a lot of dangers and pitfalls, and overall is not the safest profession for children. I mean, it's literally a profession for children. Didn't we outlaw child labor, I hear you asking? Yes. Not for entertainment, though. The government at the time loved seeing little Shirley Temple on the screen so much that they decided to make an exception just for her. And thus, the Shirley Temple Act. Children are working incredibly long hours under the supervision of adults who typically care more about the end product than they do the children that they employed. They are exposed to unique circumstances, stressful experiences, a lot more money than a child knows what to do with, and, worst of all, the public eye. That's a lot for a child.
Recently, I feel like more people have become aware of all of these circumstances, and it seems to be universally agreed upon that this is not okay, that we should do something about this. But where should we start? All of the issues with child acting have one thing in common. They are detrimental to a child's mental health. That's why I think the first step to reforming child acting should be to mandate mental health professionals on sets with regular child actors. That may seem like a small change, and yes, it's not going to solve every problem, but I believe that on-set professionals will serve as a precaution to make sure that children have the support that they need to navigate all of the unique circumstances that come with being a child actor.
This preventative measure could help mitigate the stress put on them and help them through any unhealthy coping mechanisms they may fall into, which is often the case. This will not only improve the lives of the children as they grow, but also in the long run, it'll benefit the production. Child actors are actors, but they are children at their core. Younger children cannot discern between fact and fiction, and this makes acting difficult on them mentally. Alison Stoner, in an op-ed published in People, details her experience of having to act out being kidnapped and raped at 6 years old. Obviously not an experience that anyone wants to have, and because of her age, it impacted her perceptions of the world on a fundamental level. If you think of movies and shows that you've seen, you can probably think of a few scenes where you're like, dang, I would hate to be in that situation. Well, someone had to act it out, and sometimes that someone is a child. Similarly, children have trouble separating their character, their fictional role, from their actual personality. This is confusing for a child, and it makes it hard for them to develop their identity. Imagine you were a child actor, and you're reading off a script, and somebody, an authority figure, told you were being too happy while reading the lines. A child could subconsciously interpret that as being happy is wrong, and they may act less happy in their everyday life. Having a mental health professional on set could help remedy these problems. Zeynep Yassar, sorry if I butchered that name, is a psychologist for child actors in Turkey, and she helps kids through the use of exercises. For example, she'll debrief with the actor after an emotionally strenuous scene, and ask them how the scene made them feel versus how it made their character feel. Specialists have many exercises like this up their sleeve, ready to utilize, that can help mitigate the confusion imposed on child actors as they act.
They could also help children navigate the pressure put on them by the media, which would be everywhere. I mean, you're probably a member of Gen Z. You probably have Instagram or Twitter or something like that. You see the kind of media surrounding celebrities, and that kind of pressure on a child? Could you imagine?
In 2008, Miley Cyrus,
oh look, another Miley Cyrus mention,
did a photo shoot with famous photographer Annie Leibovitz for the Vanity Fair magazine. This was the photo. Miley was 16 at the time, but the media drew her name through the mud for this, calling it slutty and a bad influence on their children. Miley liked the photo, she thought it was artsy, but it didn't matter what she thought because the image didn't match the public's image of her. It didn't match her brand. Child actors feel this pressure from the media all the time to maintain this brand. Think of JoJo Siwa and all of her bright outfits and big bows during her peak on Nickelodeon. As much as a meme her recent music videos have become, it's obvious that she's just trying to deviate from the brand that was set for her when she was a kid. It does a number on someone, and an on-set therapist can provide the child with tips on how to manage their media presence as well as the stress that comes with it. We've seen how therapists can help mitigate some of the stresses that come with child acting, but what if they still become too much? There are many cases of child actors falling into unhealthy coping mechanisms, such as substance abuse and eating disorders. Some examples: Christy Carlson Romano from Kim Possible and Even Stevens started binge drinking at 16. Jeanette McCurdy from iCarly, Sam and Cat started struggling with eating disorders at 12, as well as turning to alcohol later in life. Christina Ricci, Wednesday, started frequent drug use in her early teens. Obviously, I shouldn't need to go into why this is bad, but you know what would help? Therapy. Therapists are literally trained to help with this kind of thing, so having that resource available would be huge for kids. In Jeanette McCurdy's memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, she details how working with a therapist helped her overcome her struggles. Of course, the ideal is that the pressure would never get that bad, but nothing's foolproof, so if it does, wouldn't it be nice to have someone there to help? Even if they needed a different resource for their specific struggle, an on-set therapist will know where to look and how to get them the help that they need. But if you've ever paid for therapy out of pocket, you know that it's expensive. My therapy, before it was covered by college tuition, was $80, and I'm pretty sure that's the cheaper end. A production would have to pay that for at least every child actor, which would take a hefty chunk out of their production budget. Not to mention their time budget. Productions are on very tight schedules, which is why child actors have these busy days to begin with. They would need to allot some of that time for children to attend their sessions and participate in exercises. This would be entirely unproductive to the production. Just kidding. I argue this would actually increase the efficiency of production.
Research has shown that poor mental health results in a loss of productivity, which means that healthier mental health will result in more. With therapists on set, mental health within child actors would stay well, which means better performances, which means less takes, which means more efficient shooting. This loss in time and money will eventually come back around, making both the final product and the lives of the child better.
There's obviously a lot more that can be said about the reformation of child acting. Heck, I didn't even touch on the flawed Coogan law or child influences or the concerningly high number of sexual assault cases in the industry, but I think this is a good starting point. If we can get therapists on set with child actors, we can better the experience for these children. Maybe parents wouldn't be so scared to let their children audition anymore if they knew they would have someone to talk to if things got hard. They'd lead happier and healthier lives, and we, as the audience, if nothing else, would be at peace knowing that they are in good hands. Thanks for watching.
Also, I just thought of this as my script. Look into. I put my sources in the description. Look into them. Some of them are documentaries. And it's really insightful. So you don't even have to read through like 20-page papers for this. I put all of my sources in the description. Definitely look into it. I honestly, I know this is for a school project, but I'm honestly passionate about this, and I do believe this is something that would really better the lives of many, many people, not even just the children, but the parents, the families, the production. So, thank you for watching. I genuinely mean that. Have a good day.